Today is Monday, June 24th. What to know about new action against Iran, including a cyber attack, and the deal President Trump is now waiting for. Plus, a new discovery on Mars, delivery turned surveillance drones, and who got a standing ovation at the BET Awards. And a quick note that you can complement this show with the Tech Meme Ride Home podcast, giving the latest from the world of tech every afternoon. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in less than 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. The U.S. is expected to announce a new set of sanctions against Iran as soon as today that could further hurt the country's economy. The goal of these sanctions? Force Iran's leaders into more talks about nuclear weapons. Remember, the U.S. is trying to get Iran to sign a new nuclear deal. President Trump took the U.S. out of the current one last year and put tough economic sanctions back on. Since then, tensions between the two countries have ramped up, especially in recent weeks. The U.S. is accusing Iran of attacking two oil tankers in the Middle East. Iran denies it. Then last week, Iran shot down a U.S. spy drone. In response, the U.S. military was ready to launch a strike against Iran, but President Trump called it off last minute. And now the Washington Post reports, even though the U.S. did not launch a physical strike, there was a cyber attack instead. The U.S. disabled some of Iran's computer systems that control its missile launchers. All of this while both the U.S. and Iran have said they do not want war. And over the weekend, U.S. leaders, including the president, were emphasizing they're ready to negotiate. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo says he's going to Saudi Arabia now to check in with allies and talk about the situation with Iran. To be continued. President Trump says he'll hold off on deporting thousands of illegal immigrants, at least for now. Raids on undocumented families in 10 major cities were scheduled for yesterday, but the president says he's giving Congress 2 weeks to work out a deal to change asylum laws first. He says closing loopholes would be a step toward fixing the southern border. But he tweeted a deal likely won't happen and, quote, if not, deportations start. Politico reports everyone on the list for the raids has either missed a court date or been served deportation orders. The Hill reports top Democrats and advocacy groups call the potential raids heartless and inhumane. And House Speaker Nancy Pelosi asked the president to call them off. They're worried about family separations, for one. Some lawmakers wondered out loud if President Trump will keep his word not to go forward with the raids, even if a deal is reached. Others say they must find at least some common ground. We'll see what happens over the next 2 weeks. It's being called one of the worst aviation disasters in Hawaii's history. All 11 people on board, including both customers and instructors, died when a skydiving plane crashed on Friday. Hawaii News Now reports the crash happened shortly after the plane took off near Oahu's North Shore, and it was the same plane apparently involved in a different incident 3 years ago. Authorities are still working to figure out what happened this time. Parts of the U.S. are bracing for more possible thunderstorms and flooding today. The Weather Channel reports the plains, Midwest, and South are all at risk, and it comes after deadly weather already hit the Southeast and Central U.S. over the weekend. Today's storm is slow-moving, but ABC News reports it could bring up to 6 inches of rain to the southern U.S., potentially causing some flash flooding. And keep in mind, these are some areas that have already seen 2 times their average rainfall this year. But Accuweather reports a break from the bad weather should be coming later this week. NASA's Curiosity rover may have just found proof there's life on Mars. The New York Times reports the rover found high levels of methane in the air. That's a gas that, at least on Earth, is usually given off by living things. On Mars, it could mean microbes are living underground. They're small living organisms that can't be seen with the naked eye. Also, any methane found likely would have been released recently because methane is known to naturally break down over time. But it's not huge news just yet. It could be a false alarm. Methane can be produced underground without a living organism, or it's possible it's ancient methane that was trapped and is now coming through cracks in the ground. And while researchers have found methane on Mars before, this is significant because it's the highest concentration of the gas yet. Either way, expect to hear more about this today. It's a significant enough discovery that the rover will be following up. All right, we have more news ahead, but first, thanks to our sponsor who helps make this show possible, Ancestry. Each of our families has a story, and I find it fascinating to learn more about the people and places in those histories. So if you're like me and you ever wondered where your family came from or you want to feel more connected with your past, then check out Ancestry. The Ancestry DNA test gives you geographical and historical insights that can be combined with billions of historical family records. Ancestry's unique features and record collections can give a more complete picture about the people from your past, from their travels to what they did for a living. For example, I discovered there were men on both sides of my family who were tailors, as well as how my grandparents survived World War II. And I got to see actual travel records and pictures and newspaper clippings to back up all of the details. And it's easy to get started. Go to Ancestry.com/newsworthy and you can get 20% off your Ancestry DNA kit. That's Ancestry.com/newsworthy for 20% off your Ancestry DNA kit, and be sure to follow up with the free trial after that to complete your story. Ancestry.com/newsworthy. Now back to the news. Expect to find out soon which city will host the 2026 Winter Olympics. The International Olympic Committee will see final presentations in Switzerland, then vote between two cities, and the winner will be announced today. It's between Stockholm, Sweden, or Milan, Italy. But first, of course, the 2022 Winter Olympics will be hosted in Beijing. Right now, though, in France, the Women's World Cup is in the knockout stage, meaning if a team loses, they go home. CBS Sports reports Team USA will play Spain today at noon Eastern Time, and whoever wins will play France in the quarterfinals. The U.S. is favored to win. But another quick note about the U.S. women's national team. The Wall Street Journal reports the U.S. Soccer Federation has now agreed to start mediation over a lawsuit. Remember, some players on the women's team sued their employer for gender discrimination. The talks to possibly resolve this would start after the World Cup is over. Amazon's delivery drones could one day double as surveillance drones, meaning they would keep an eye on people's homes while also dropping off packages. They'll check for things like open garage doors, a broken window, or a fire, for example. Customers would then get pictures or videos of their homes. Business Insider reports the tech company just got the okay for a patent that will let it build the surveillance drones. Nothing is set in stone, though. Remember, a patent is based on an idea, and there's no telling if it will actually be made. Of course, privacy is a concern, but Amazon at least says it has that covered. The patent says the drones would use geofencing technology that would help make sure the drone only takes pictures or videos of houses it has permission to check up on, not the neighbors. We'll see if this actually happens. Toys R Us may be making a comeback, and it would be just in time for the holiday season. But the stores are expected to be a little different from what you're used to. Bloomberg cites sources who say 6 new locations and an e-commerce site are set to open before Christmas. Remember, Toys R Us closed all of its U.S. stores about a year ago after filing for bankruptcy, and True Kids now owns the company. Well, if all goes as planned, the new stores will be about a third of the size of the old ones and will give kids more experiences like play areas. Babies R Us could be coming back too. Toy Story 4 hit number 1 at the box office this weekend with what CNBC says was the third highest debut of 2019 and the highest debut of any Toy Story movie. But still, it wasn't quite as big of a debut as Disney was hoping for. The movie brought in $118 million in the U.S. Disney thought it would be more like $140 million or more. Either way, it was a good weekend for Disney. Variety says Aladdin was still in the top 3 for weekend ticket sales. Rapper Cardi B was the first performance of the night last night at the BET Awards, and she also picked up the award for Album of the Year. Variety says other top nominees were Drake, Beyoncé, Travis Scott, and J. Cole. The BET Awards recognize winners across 20 categories in celebration of Black culture. Regina Hall hosted the ceremony, which was mostly fun and energetic, but got a bit more serious when the men known as the Central Park Five came on stage to a standing ovation. USA Today says they're the 5 men wrongly convicted and eventually exonerated in connection with a rape in the 80s. A new Netflix documentary, When They See Us, highlights their story. Tyler Perry also gave a powerful speech as he got the Ultimate Icon Award, and Mary J. Blige received the Lifetime Achievement Award. And that's it. You are all caught up from the weekend. Thank you so much for listening, and a quick thank you to all of those who shared the show on social media and with friends last week. I love seeing those posts and getting those messages. Thank you. And as always, you can read more about any news story that caught your attention. Just go to the homepage of thenewsworthy.com, click episodes, and look for today's date. You'll find all the story sources and links right there. The Newsworthy is ready for you to listen every weekday by 4 in the morning. I'll be back with more news tomorrow. Have a great day. Hey, Hey, it's me, Erica, again. I just want to let you know if you'd like a daily tech news hit to complement the newsworthy, then the Tech Meme Ride Home is for you. It covers the latest from the world of tech every afternoon, giving you more tech news and reaction than I can give you here. So if you love all things tech, search your podcast app for Tech Meme Ride Home and add it to your playlist. That's Tech Meme Ride Home.